coming to you with the live stream for game one of the NBA Finals. We'll sprinkle in a little WNBA and a little NHL while we're at it. First, before we get started, today's podcast is presented by Props.Cash. We 100% cannot do what we do without Props.Cash. So if you think you're ready to level up your prop betting game, use code PTM at sign up to get 25% off your first month. What's up, boys? How we feeling today?
Basketball's back. Kristaps Porzingis is back, and I'm stoked.
KP. Yeah. Tim is on KP early.
Yes, early and
often. Yeah, I know.
It's been a while since the NBA has been around. I almost forgot how to analyze the NBA. So I'm leaning heavy on Tom here today on NBA picks.
It's all WNBA for Dave from this point out.
Yeah. No, it was actually fun. Especially now, because now that we're this deep into the playoffs, you really kind of got your 5-6 guys that you've been playing all playoffs. So I just went back to those guys. But Porzingis coming back is a big is a big wild card in this one, right? Because all the data we've been looking at for the Celtics has been, them playing without Porzingis. So I think that'll be interesting.
Yeah. What's up, Campeo de Greens? What's going on? Any comments? We are open. We're monitoring the comments down below. So before we get started, anybody want to just Tim popping in over there? Any questions you guys got? We've been having a nice time over on Playback the last few weeks, last few days, engaging with the comments there. So let's try it out on X today. Let's go.
Let's do it. All right. So you guys want to jump into NBA to start? How does that sound?
Yeah, I think we gotta.
I think we got it, right? All right. So we got the Mavs. We got the Celtics. Celtics are -6.5 at home. Total is 215.5. So projected to be a low scoring game. I'm not even going to look at the history between these teams because the Mavericks were such a completely different team earlier in the season. But I will go back to the March 1st game.
That's the game,
which was the one data point to look at. Pretty much everybody played on both sides. Gafford and Lively and PJ Washington were in that game for the Mavs. So really good data point to study. The Celtics won that game 138-110. So the one game that we do have to look at was a bit of a spanking by the Celtics.
I will say, I think that was only the 7th or 8th game that they played with this after the trade deadline when they got Gafford and they got Washington. Also of particular note, Derek Jones Jr. Played 7 minutes in that game. He is a much bigger part of the rotation now. So it is a good data point. It's the best we have, but still not exactly what we're going to see starting tonight.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think even Gafford only played 6 minutes in that game. So I think
we might see that tonight.
Yeah, we might see that tonight. I think Porzingis is a bit of a matchup nightmare for Gafford. So we could see more.
Absolutely.
More Lively, more PJ. We'll see. But one thing I will talk about before we dive into this particular game is just game ones of the NBA Finals. I studied the last 3 game ones.
Let's hear it.
All right. Which was actually interesting because I actually didn't even remember who was playing in these series. But last year we remember, right, the Heat and the Nuggets, right? The Heat somehow snuck their way all the way into the finals and then got beat up by the Nuggets. But game 1, the Heat lost that game 93-104. So the Nuggets were at home. They won by 11. Low scoring game. Of note, the Nuggets won the first quarter 29-20. Okay. We go to game. We go to 2022.
Boston, right?
Celtics. Yeah, Celtics were in that one. You remember who they were playing?
Yeah, Golden State.
Golden State. All right. So Celtics won that game 120-108. That game was in Golden State. The home team, though, the Warriors, won the first quarter 32-28. Okay. So they won by 4. And now we go to 2021. You remember
Bucks Suns.
Bucks Suns.
There we go.
Milwaukee lost that game 105. Phoenix won with 118 points. So relatively low scoring game. Again, Phoenix won the first quarter 30-26. So we have a pattern here. The home team has won the first quarter by 4 or more points in every game won in the last 3 years. Do you know what the spread is for the Celtics tonight in the first quarter?
3.5.
That was my
2.5
guess.
points.
2.5. Okay.
On FanDuel, or you can go to DraftKings. That's -108. You can go to DraftKings, and they oddly are offering -2. I don't usually see like even for plays, but
Ooh, we can push.
-2 for -112. So I actually love that. I love Celtics -2 points in the first quarter. Yes, they've been asleep for the last, in hibernation for the last 3 weeks or whatever. But I think I'm going to stick with that pattern. So I think the Celtics come out. I think they win the first quarter by 3+ points. I'm going to take Celtics -2 or -2.5, whichever you prefer, for this first play of the playoffs.
All right. I love that, Dave. I love
All
a
right.
little, a little game action instead of just sticking with the props. And I love that deep dive you
Deep
made.
dive.
That was nice.
Trip down memory lane.
Yeah.
All right, so let's dive into some player props. We'll pull up props I cash here in a second. Tim, why don't you start? Because I know you've got a particular player that you're targeting. So why don't you tell us kind of your thoughts on Porzingis, I guess, right?
I've got 2 guys. I know you're gonna be surprised by these names. Both centers, Kristaps Porzingis and Blake Lively. And we're gonna go back to her. Derek Lively is back, and here's the thing: I think both of these guys are going to see the most minutes at center by a pretty long shot. Not just because of skills, but because of matchup. I don't think Gafford will match up well, and I also think Lively will match up a little bit better. But I think Porzingis is going to pull him out. I think he's not 100%. I think he's ready to play. I think he's going to hoist threes, and I think he's going to try to pull Derek Lively out of the middle and guard him. Which makes me love his over 1.5. It's I saw it as low as 143 or 145 on DraftKings. So I'm absolutely smacking Porzingis' over 1.5 made threes. And I'm laddering him up. I did a unit or to win a unit on 1.5. I did 69 on 3+, and then I did like a quarter of a unit on 4+. He's only played them once this season, and he had 4 threes. He attempted 8, but it was a while ago. Whatever. But that's the only data we have. I'm not really going off of that though. I'm looking at that matchup and him. Like I think the game plan is going to be purposely to pull him out. And then on the other side, I think Derek Lively is going to be matched up very poorly to score against Porzingis. He's not going to be able to score as easily. And I think he's going to be dishing a lot of in and outs or basically assisting. We've had him on the 1.5. So the head-to-head hasn't been good, obviously, but this is, 2022? And again, that game in March. So his minutes now, and look what he's doing. So I have him at 1.5 assists plus 105. And then if you take him 1 assist and Porzingis 2 threes, you get plus money. So those are like 3 ways I'm playing it. I'm really hitting Kristaps hard on the over 1.5 threes. I think he's coming out a little bit slower. He hasn't played in a while, and he loves to shoot the long ball. So I think he's going to be doing that in that game script really, unless they get out to some crazy lead. I think him against Lively is really good for that. I think they both play 26 to 30 range in minutes. And when they do that, it looks really good. And I have a couple things in here, just stuff I'm messing around with, like him 2.5 assists is plus 300. I took his 1.5 straight at plus 105, but 3 assists is plus 300. So I feel like that
Nice.
there's a lot of value there. And then FanDuel has a risk-free. I don't know it depends on what your unit is, but they have a risk-free. Mine's up to like $100. So I took Kristaps assists 2, threes 2, PJ Washington 10 points, and Jaylen Brown. I won't get into. I'm sure you guys will talk about those two, but you could easily replace, mix and match with like Derek Lively's 2 assists or 3 assists and get that up really quick. I got it at plus 435. I was trying to do something long shot, but a little bit more realistic. With the risk free. I'm not going too crazy. But my main plays in this game tonight are just looking at my big men assists, big men threes, my 2 favorite things in basketball. So no matter the outcome of tonight, I'm going to enjoy it because these 2 guys, I mean, look at his assists. He was good for 1. Throw that in any builder you're building tonight. I think he's going to be covered I think he's going to be in and out a lot. I think he's going to get the ball and not look to shoot. I think if anything, looking at, maybe some under on points, but I don't bet unders because that's no fun.
Nope.
That's not true. I just don't bet them very often. So that's what I'm looking at tonight. It's just, what do you think about the read on the matchup and having Gafford out because he can't guard the perimeter and pulling Derek out?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I have a big section in my notes here saying fade Daniel Gafford, question mark. So I wanted to talk about it with you guys. I think it's just obvious, like, they're going to need him to defend in space against the Celtics. Like, in the previous matchups they had a guy like Gobert or Josh Giddey or Lou Dort that Gafford could just kind of hang around, right? But now he's going to have to defend in space, which he cannot. And it's going to lead to a ton more Derek Lively minutes. He's a much more versatile defender. So I am on this play. I was on Lively points. I was on Lively rebounds. I'm also, before we leave that, I'm kind of feeling an under Daniel Gafford. We just talked about not playing unders. I think you could count on one hand the number of unders I've played in the history of the Prop the Mic podcast. I'm just feeling an under 14.5 PR on Daniel Gafford in this spot. I think he gets like the ceremonial start, but I think Jason Kidd quickly takes him out of this game.
Yeah. It's hard to support that when you just look at his performance in the playoffs. But if you do believe that he's going to play limited minutes, then I think it's probably a good look.
Yeah.
I think he'll get 20 or fewer. That's where that's based on looking at the where Lively fits in. I think he's like at the 20.
You also have to remember they have a much more versatile defender in Maxi Kleber, a big who's not around, who is now in the rotation. So not a lot of props out on Kleber, but that also will impact this. So some of those bigger minutes that was being split between two bigs. Now it's being split between three bigs, and the two that are the more versatile, better defenders are Maxi and Lively. So it doesn't bode well for Gafford here, I don't think.
Yeah. I think Gafford,
that hit, right?
Gafford's minutes were about to plunge in that last series with Lively consuming them, and then Lively got hurt, right? Yeah. So I think we kind of didn't get to see the full experiment in action. I think we'll see more of that in this series, like you guys say.
For sure.
Going back to your plays, Tim, I do love Porzingis. I do see him coming out just firing threes. Maybe he's a little bit more hesitant in the post, given that he hasn't played in so long. But the Celtics in general just fired a ton of threes. I don't remember the exact number. I was trying to pull it up, but they shot and hit a ton of threes in that game where they beat the Mavericks. So I do think that's going to be their game plan out of the gates. That's always kind of been their game plan. And when they hit their threes, they dominate. When they miss their threes, they lose. Right. So, so we'll see. But I do see
KP had 4 in that game too.
Yeah, 4, and they were all in the first half too. I think he had 3 in the first quarter alone. So that would be that would be a fantastic celebration in the Trad household over there. If he comes out and drains 2 threes in the first quarter, I could see you being pretty happy about that.
I wouldn't hate it. I love a good sweat-free cash. He's not fully healthy, and he's huge. He already hangs out around the perimeter. If you're not healthy, you don't want to bang, as Charles Barkley would say, you want to get banged by guys down low. You want to roll off and go outside, but he does come up on those early pick and rolls and he pops out. He doesn't roll down because he's a shooter. So it's a very abnormal thing for a 7'3", 7'4" dude. And there's that revenge narrative. He says there's nothing there. There's always something there when you get run out of town on a team or leave a team and don't have the success that expected. He wants to show up and he wants to play. So I'm very into him tonight. And then that ladder up to plus 500 for 4 threes is quite reachable for those odds.
That could be fun. All right. Tom, you got anybody else in this game that you're eyeing?
Yeah, I got a few here.
Let's hear him.
Real quick, Derek Lively. I like the points. I had it at 7.5. I think it's probably up to 8.5 in most books now, but I still, you see, is not much difference between 7.5 and 8.5. 6 of 8 this postseason, 8 of 11 this postseason when he's played 20 minutes. If you go to just the season overall, 20 of 25 games when he's played 25 plus minutes, like Tim just said, expecting him in that 26, 28 minute range tonight at least. So love Lively, 8.5 points, despite the rim protection that they're going to gain from having Porzingis in there. I still think this is a low enough number for the minutes he's going to get. I like this. And then I also like his rebounds. So it was 6.5. I don't think you can get it anywhere unless you're paying major juice now. DraftKings minus 150. 7.5. I think he's cleared in 6 of 8 this postseason. And if we look at that 25-minute split on the season, almost as good as the points. 19 of 25 games this season when he's played 25 plus minutes. So I think it's going to be, I don't know, Dave, what's your read? This is a Duke guy, right? What are you feeling? You feeling like it's going to be a breakout, or is he going to, or is like the rookie, is he finally going to like, the Cinderella time and it's going to be over for him?
I think he's got an easier matchup in this series than he did in the last series, right? Like I think trying to go up against Gobert, Towns, Naz Reid, like that, a bunch of trees over in Minnesota. So I think especially with Porzingis kind of maybe a little slow out of the gates. I think with Al Horford being almost 40 years old, and the volume of attention that's going to be put on Luka and Kyrie, I think that's just going to continue to lead to lob opportunities. And I think because the Celtics shoot so many threes, they're going to hit a lot of threes, but they're also going to miss a lot of threes. And Lively, if he gets those 25 minutes, he's going to gobble up, 6, 7, 8 rebounds. So, I like the points probably more than the rebounds. I do also like 7 points and 6 rebounds. You can do that as a builder.
Nice.
And you can get that for minus 120 on DK, which I thought was really good value. Kind of increases those hit rates.
I like that.
A little bit more. So, but yeah, I think he's going to have a good game.
Yeah.
You could throw 1 assist in that and get it plus money pretty quick.
There we go.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that. Love that.
He's going to get fouled, I think, by Porzingis. Porzingis averages about 3 fouls per game. And when he's fouling big guys because they're faster, hurt, he's trying to keep up. So I think he'll take probably 4 free throws tonight too, which helps in that that total. It's such a low total, even if he splits them, it's like a free bucket with the clock not running. So those free throws are pivotal.
Maybe Boston will deploy the hack-a-lively strategy like the Thunder did. So if he does, then he's going to be on the line quite a bit. All right, Tom. Anybody else on Dallas? Let's finish up Dallas before we move to this.
Okay. I think we'd probably get some value on Derek Jones Jr. Like I said, in that one data point we have from March 1st, he only played 7 minutes in that game. He has been he's been playing like 28-ish minutes. He's a big part of their rotation. They're going to need his size and athleticism in there for guys like Tatum and Brown, and there's so much size for Boston to throw at them. So he is part of the rotation now. I think we'll get to it in a little bit more in a second when I get to the Boston side, but I love looking at the OKC series in particular when we're matching up, when we're looking at matchups in the Boston series for a few reasons we'll get into in a sec. But he was 4 for 6 in the Oklahoma series, including those last 3 games, 17, 19, and 22 points in that series against the Thunder. When he's played 28 plus minutes this season, he has an 81% hit rate going over 7.5 points, 29 of 36 games. When he's played 28 plus minutes. I think you'll see that again here. So I think we're catching a little value on Derek Jones Jr.
Yeah, you got to fight fire with fire,
1-3,
right? Celtics
his
are going to be
1-3 was
bombing
pretty
away.
cheap.
I think Derek Jones is going to have to be shooting some threes too in the corner.
What's the price on his 1-3 there?
I
like that.
Let's see. Yeah.
Oh, never mind. It shot up to 220. I thought I saw it at 160. I might have
Mm.
confused that with Josh Green, who also loves to hit threes.
1-3 and Tim 1 assist. Maybe you can throw something like that together. He's also seems to get an assist.
I
in that
love
game.
Maxi Kleber for 1-3. DK had it up for a second and then it's down, but it was even money or like minus 105 for one Kleber 3. Look at that right there. So keep an eye on that. There you go, 105. If that pops back up. I love that tonight.
DraftKings, Caesars, BetMGM. They all.
It's not up anymore on DraftKings though.
Maybe not on DraftKings, but check some
They
of
took
those
it
other
down.
books.
Yeah, they took it down.
What kind of minutes do you
ESPN
play?
Bet may have it too. I got the plus 300 on the assist on ESPN. Nobody else had it up, which is good time. We love that. We love it.
Yes, sir.
I think he has
Coming
a
to New
bonus
York
tonight.
too. I heard.
ESPN Bet's not in New York.
No. As far as I'm aware,
no
I
shit, I
don't
didn't know that.
think they're in New York yet, but I believe they're going to be coming soon. So, all right. Anybody else? Anything on Luka, Tom?
Yeah, so I'm running back the same. I played this Luka PRA parlay a few times in the Minnesota series. Luka 28 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, even money. I got it at minus 102 on FanDuel. I think this is the Luka show. It brings them all down to very manageable levels for him. 28 points he's done in 7 straight games. 7 rebounds, 9 of his last 11, 7 assists, 13 of his last 16 in that March 1st game. Hit a beautiful triple-double, 37 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists in only 36 minutes. He's playing 41 and a half minutes per game this postseason. So I love this. I love this Luka SGP.
I like that.
Yeah.
What's his triple-double at too? I kind of feel like that could be good little thing to sprinkle something
To
on
sprinkle, yeah. I do like that. I know our boy Jordan from Read the Greens was on that one. We were texting with him earlier in the week.
Feels like coming off of like a intense series, it's hard to like downshift into like game 1 mentality. So it feels like he could come out like with a game 7 mentality to start this one.
Plus 370 on FanDuel.
Yeah, that seems worth a little sprinkle as well.
Yeah.
I don't hate
All
that.
right. In terms of you got anybody else on the Mavericks?
No, we can switch over to Boston. I have 2 plays that are like a parlay with Luka and Boston guys.
Yeah, so let's hit those up.
Before we move away from them, is PJ going to score 10?
Oh yeah, aren't you on PJ, Dave?
Yeah, with Campos de Greens. We put that out last night as a collab play. So yeah, PJ Washington. I think PJ for 11.5 points is a good play. If you just look at his history against Dallas, against Boston, he's cleared this in 6 straight games and no less than 14 points. Most of those games were on Charlotte, but he did have 17 in that game on March 1st that we keep referencing. His rebounds, not as consistent, but again, in that game against Boston on March 1st, he had 7 rebounds. So what we decided for the collab play, what we decided to do was just kind of run back a play that we've been playing all playoffs, which is PJ Washington for 10 points. So if you look at his hit rate for 10 points, which is what Tim also put in his parlay, he's got 88% hit rate. He's hit that in 15 of 17 games in the playoffs. And then PJ Washington for 5 rebounds is like amazing. He just keeps getting to 5 rebounds. He's done that in 16 of 17. So you get that for around like minus 110, minus 120, I believe was the value, depending on which book you get it at. I think it's a really nice play. I think we just got to keep running that one until it fails.
Yeah,
all right,
sounds good.
And we're giving away $50 as part of that that post, that collab post. So go out there and enter. Take a look at that one.
Nice.
All right, let's talk about the Celtics. Who do you want to start with there, Tom?
Let's start with JB. I was feeling a Jaylen Brown game, I think, to start the last series that ended up happening. So getting into why I would like this, looking at the Oklahoma City series. You saw Dallas's strategy in that series was to take away the three. And I think you'll see more of that here. Boston and Oklahoma had the second and third highest 3-point percentages in the league this season. So very comparable teams in the number of threes that they get up, in their efficiency in hitting them. So what does that mean? That meant a lot of, in taking away the three from guys like Jalen Williams, it opened up Shea to just do a lot of mid-range damage. So who's the guy on the Celtics who really thrives, who doesn't depend on the three to do his scoring? That's Jaylen Brown. I feel like Jason Tatum sometimes relies too heavily on the three when he really should be, driving to the hoop. Jaylen Brown never does that. So I think it kind of complements his game based on the defensive strategy I'm expecting to see from Dallas tonight. So I like his points, 22.5. It's moving a little bit. It was 115 on DK last night. I think it's like 120 now. FanDuel has it at 23.5 for minus 105, I think, right? Even DK moves up to 23.5. But you can see 8 of his last, even at 23.5, right? Even at 23.5, 8 of his last 10 postseason games, averaging 26.1. I think this is a great spot for Jaylen Brown in this game.
I agree. I mean, it's hard not to think that Tatum's going to have the big game just because Tatum's had such a great history against Dallas, but so has Brown, right?
Yeah, he has too.
Playoff filter off, 31, 19, 34, 25. So he just had one down game and
yeah, but hard to look at that. Really, that only game to look at is that last one, right?
Yeah, but I think I guess like defensively, who are they going to match up on Tatum and Brown? Like who do you?
I said it the other day. I think they task Jaylen Brown with guarding Kyrie, and then they throw they worry about, they throw Tatum on Luka, they throw Holiday, they throw Horford. I think they I have a feeling that's the way it's gonna play out.
So you think the inverse will be true as well? Kyrie will be on Jaylen Brown?
No, I don't think Kyrie will be on Jaylen Brown. I wouldn't think so. I think they'd probably put I don't know who they put on him, Derek Jones Jr., somebody like that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Who else? Anything?
I put Jaylen Brown. I put Jaylen Brown 2+ threes in my sweat free, the plus 435 or 465. Am I going to hate myself tomorrow?
Say it again, Tim.
I said I put him 2+. Look at that. 2+, 2+, 2+ every time.
Yeah.
Am I going to be sad tomorrow? Because I was looking at this right here, what you're looking at. And then I switched over to head to head. It's just 2 every time. And I'm like, that's the one leg that as I'm looking at the when I build a sweat free, one of those longer odd ones, I try to not overthink it. And so I just threw together something that made sense with all the graphs. And now that we're looking at other plays, I'm starting to second guess that Jaylen Brown 2 3s leg.
I can't quickly pull up like the guys. Like I think Jalen Williams is a nice comp from that OKC series, and he did not have a great series, I think, even from 3. Yeah. So I don't know. That's I'm not gonna totally knock the play there.
It's hard for me. Free, so we can't lose, so but I just don't want to make
I like the chart. The chart's beautiful.
Chart looks wonderful. That's what we did. Didn't overthink it. So we just kept it simple. If I'm stupid or not.
We'll just look at this view and not the other view.
Yeah, that one looks great. I like that one.
All right. Anything on Tatum, Tom?
No, I got something on Derek White.
All right, let me talk about Tatum real quick.
Yeah,
I do think Tatum's in a good spot in this series. I mean, look what he's done against Dallas. 27.5 points. He's cleared that by a good margin in all 4 games. And even the game that we keep referencing, the March 1st game, he had 32 points. He did hit, I think, a bunch of threes in that game. He had 5 threes in that game.
Mm-hmm.
But the play that I like targeting on Tatum all playoffs, just like we targeted PJ 10 and 5. We must have played Tatum for 8 rebounds, probably 5 or 6 times, either by itself earlier in the playoffs or with a bunch of as part of a parlay. So I do like Tatum for 8 rebounds today. I think he's good, probably for 9 or 10. we actually put a play out on X earlier today with two Duke players, Jason Tatum for 8 rebounds, and then as a little tease into our next segment, Elizabeth Williams from the Chicago Sky for 6 rebounds. So the two of them together was minus 110 on DraftKings. So that's our little crossover play. We'll get into that a little bit more, but that was the only angle I took on Tatum in this game.
I want to. Well, while we're on Tatum, I wasn't gonna bring this up, but I want to show you guys something that could be sneaky. So go to Tatum points and go to this season and last season, 22-23 up top, and now go down and look at games where PJ Washington played as well. PJ Washington will probably be the guy on Tatum for a lot of this game. He's played a lot of games against him, guarding him with the Hornets. And look at that. So, the Hornets are not the Mavs right now. There's an easy team to put up a lot of points on. But I have a feeling that that's who guards Tatum. Primarily, it's his primary defender, I think, tonight, and can't argue with that success rate right there.
Yeah, I think there were some series long prop bets. I don't remember what the odds were, but on Tatum to get 40 points in any game of this series. So looking at this, that might be the best angle rather than trying to guess which game it's going to be. You could say Tatum to score 40 points in any game of the series. Looks like it might happen at some point. So I like that.
Nice.
All right. Who else? Who else you got? Anybody else in this one?
Yeah, let's look at the human ATM.
Oh yeah, we would be remiss.
Mason Plumlee's not playing this game. Unfortunately. I wish.
That was the human ATM from 2 seasons ago.
All right.
Yeah, he's no longer.
You got to redefine your ATM.
I'm looking at PRA here for Derek White. Guys got some great home road splits. They're home. I love. I don't know if you call him a role player or not, but he's not a Tatum and a Brown. So I love role players at home in the playoffs. In that March 1st game, he played 32 minutes. He had 28 PRA. His line is 22.5. Looks like it's moving. I see it at 23.5 everywhere now. I had it at 22.5. That might not be updated. I got a 22.5 on DK at minus 130, not that long ago. Okay. So I love him. I love him there at 22.5. He only played 32 minutes in that game. Like I said, he averaged 38.5 minutes per game in the Indiana series. When he's played 35 minutes this season, he's cleared in 30 of 39 games. And if you toggle him, you just go season long and toggle him home and away. And even in the playoffs, you see some nice home road splits. So I think there's a nice low line for Derek White. Don't know exactly where he's going to do his damage, but I feel a little more comfortable with the PRA on him here.
Yeah, his last 10 away, 25.5.
Look at that.
Yeah, well, I guess he had one of these outlier games that's kind of pulling the average up, but in terms of the hit rate, yeah, he definitely looks like he's
that was that monster game against the Heat. Yeah,
elevated at home. So, yeah, I mean, listen, you sometimes forget how good Derek White was before he came to Boston, right? I mean, he was like the primary option in San Antonio for most of those games, right?
Yeah,
they weren't a very good team, but the guy could score, the guy can rebound, the guy can assist. He can also block, which Tom loves to talk about every once in a while. So
we might talk about that in one sec.
Yeah. So
and you might see some suspect Kyrie Irving defense, though Kyrie's played some decent defense this postseason. I think that's probably who he sees.
But my point is with Porzingis, Brown, and Tatum, right?
That's a lot to go around.
That's a lot to go around. That should
I hear you.
White
I hear you
a lot. So I think Derek White is in a good spot. If he doesn't hit this game, he'll hit the next game. So he's like one of those guys I think I would like to just
ride it every game.
Ride it every game, right?
Yeah.
And he's going to hit probably 4 out of 5 games, 4 out of 6 games, something like that. You'll end up positive over the course of the series.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, guys?
Yeah, just real quick while we're on him, click on his blocks. You can get FanDuel has this fun little thing where you can do for 1 point, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. It was plus 100 for Derek White. He is the of all the guards in the league, he is the best blocking guard in the league. Look at this postseason. The steals are actually the one that's the tricky leg. Dave and I were throwing this around a little bit earlier. It may make sense just to parlay if you can. You couldn't on FanDuel parlay a steal and a block together and not worry about the points, rebounds, and assists. That was like plus 108, I think, right, Dave? We saw on DraftKings.
Yeah, you can actually get better value by just doing those two together. I mean,
yeah,
this
so
is basically a play on a steal, right?
On a steal, yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it was
I got
FanDuel
to
offers
run
some.
here
Yeah.
in like 2 minutes. But before we're not to hockey yet, Saturday we get the first game. Just gonna give you a quick before I run. Leon Draisaitl, Zach Hyman, Evan Bouchard. If you've been watching our show, you've been cashing with us, and those are the three that I'm looking at Edmonton. Any combo of the two is between even money and plus 136. All three together is like plus 201, plus 205 range right now.
Mhm.
I would play that in any way. I'm playing all three of them, and I'm doing the Hyman Draisaitl Bouchard Draisaitl combo as well, just for a little extra. So we'll break that down probably sometime
Tomorrow?
before that game.
Yeah.
And then Christoph Porzingis, KP.
Yeah, you
I
can
gotta,
Alright.
make some
I gotta run and do work. I don't want to do it. But
make some.
are we gonna do a
Porzingis
watch
money
along?
tonight?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Are we gonna do a watch along and playback tonight?
Possibly. I gotta run that by the family here, but
Boss.
I'll let
All
you know.
right, let me know. I'll
Okay,
talk to you guys
cool.
later.
All right.
Yeah,
See you.
thanks for joining. Tim.
Peace, Tim.
All right, so yeah, Derek White. I think that's a fun play.
Yeah.
1 point, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block, or just it's probably smarter just if you have DraftKings, go there and just put 1 steal, 1 block.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Maybe FanDuel will open it up later today.
Yeah. All right.
Last one. Let's just wrap it up real quick. This is the last one I had here. Getting back to Luka and Jaylen Brown. I like a PRA parlay on both of them, bringing them down a bit to get to even money. Luka, let's look at Luka PRA this postseason. If you want to pull up that chart, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
So I like him. Bring him down to 45.5.
Oh, that's a really nice value. I like
Yeah,
that.
45.5. It's minus 260. So that's the one leg. And then look at Jaylen Brown at 28.5. You know, we liked him. I like him at 22.5 points, 28.5 PRA. That was minus 290 on FanDuel. And again, really nice this postseason. That's his last 10 right there. He's 10 of 14 this postseason, last 8 of 10. You put those two together, minus 106 on FanDuel. I like that. If
That's
you
nice.
think you like that,
I do. Or if you want to be even more cautious, throw a super cautious Tatum one in there too,
yeah,
and just the three of those guys are going to be like, you know, the only star in the game who I wouldn't really throw in a builder like this is Kyrie, just because he's been fairly inconsistent. As you can tell, we haven't even put a single Kyrie play out on the show.
yeah.
But yeah, I like Brown, I like Luka, I like Tatum. I think
So I have it real quick since you brought it up. You keep Luka at 45.5. You can put Tatum at 37.5, which he's done also just like Brown, 10 of 14 this postseason, 7 of his last 8 this postseason at 37.5 PRA. That's minus 340. So you'll get minus 115 if you put Luka and Tatum together at that. So I think both of those are pretty money. I love and our guy Jordan from Read the Green also was a big fan of Luka PRA in this series, and I can't argue with it.
Yeah, he's just a little bit biased though as a Mets fan, so just take that with a grain of salt. All right, I think that's enough, right, for this first game. First game of the playoffs.
Yeah, I think so.
Of the finals.
Let's
Right?
get some data. Let's get some more data before we put our necks on the line too much more.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend. We just probably gave out like 9 or 10 plays. I would recommend choosing your favorite 1, 2, maybe 3. Put like a couple unit or 2 on this game. Sit back, collect some information, see how this starts out, especially with Porzingis back. And then like we got, probably got another 5 games in this series. to bet on. So take it slow, but choose your favorites from those, and let's go make some money tonight on
Let's
NBA.
do it.
You want to talk quickly, WNBA?
It's W time. Let's go.
Yeah, we'll keep this segment short because we're running up against 45 minutes already. But we got 2 games tonight. We got the Sky and the Mystics. Mystics are getting 3.5 at home. Totals 156.5. Mystics are still 0-9. They're the only team who hasn't had a win yet. Sad. What's going on there?
They
Shakira
had a nice
Austin-
start the other night, right? Against
Yeah, they
the
almost beat
Sun, right?
Connecticut.
Yeah.
Connecticut in the first half. I think
In the
they
first half.
actually
Yeah.
either tied or were up 1 at halftime. So they
Yeah.
looked good, but eventually talent outpaces
Yeah.
heart. So
Yes.
so this is really the bottom 2 of the bottom teams in the league. The Sky are obviously probably have a better trajectory given the talent they have there with
Mhm.
with Cardoso and Reese and a few others, Mabry and such. But regardless, I think I wouldn't do any game plays on this one. I think the Mystics could get their first win tonight, but they could also get blown out by the Sky. So I'm not really sure what to play there. Areas to target. There's a lot because both these teams are pretty bad. Forwards guards against Chicago scoring, and centers guards against Washington scoring. And then Chicago's actually a really bad rebounding team, which kind of surprises you with Elizabeth Williams, Reese, Cardoso. But centers and forwards have been rebounding well. So that was the area I wanted to target. Chicago does not give up points to centers, but they do give up rebounds to centers. So the one player I had in this game, other than I did mention Elizabeth Williams as part of that Tatum parlay. So Elizabeth Williams for 6 rebounds and Tatum for 8 rebounds. The only other player I had was on Washington, which was Stephanie Dolson, which I just don't really want to play her. But 7.5 points. The play would actually be under. It's scary because Shakira Austin is out and she's going to play, decent minutes. She played 26 minutes last game against Connecticut, but she only finished with 5 points. She does have a good 3-point shot, so she's able to get some quick points out on the perimeter. But if I was going to lean one way on Dolson, I maybe would play her points under. We have hit that once earlier this season, but 7.5 seems low to play an under.
Yeah.
The other direction, which I think I like more, is playing her over on the rebounds. 4.5 rebounds. She's played in 2 games, I think 2 or 3 games without Shakira Austin.
3 games.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she had 6 rebounds in 1 against Seattle. She only had 1.
You got a nice inverse relationship there between the points and the rebounds in the games without Kira Austin. Yeah.
Exactly. And then she had 7 rebounds in the game against Connecticut, which is a tough rebounding team. So that is encouraging to me. That was only 2 days ago. So I think at plus 100, I think you get some value on Stephanie Dolson for 4.5 rebounds. I don't love the play. It's more of a lean than like a strong play. But in general, I'm kind of staying off of this game just because I'm just not really that excited about this matchup.
Good advice.
Anybody who was popping out for you in this game?
Not in this game. No, I was also not finding anything interesting in this game.
The only other player I did see, which is more for a leg of a builder, would be maybe Dana Evans. Guards scoring against Washington, as I mentioned, is a very good matchup. So Dana Evans has been our 10-point cash cow this season. She ran into a wall against the Liberty the other day, only scored 4 points. But this could be a good bounce back spot for her to score 11 points or take her as part of a builder for 10 points on FanDuel.
Yeah.
So, all right. So those are kind of your options for that game. Next game, we got the Liberty 8-2 going up against the Dream 4-3. Dream are getting 6.5 points at home. Liberty total in this game is 165.5 points. Not a lot of matchups standing out in this game. Scoring wise, centers and guards versus Atlanta are good spots, right? So that's your Jonquel Jones. And then guards, that could be Laney, that could be Vandersloot, that could be Sabrina. Forwards rebounding against Atlanta is a good spot. They've given up quite a few big rebounding games to opposing forwards. New York's tough. New York only gives up the third most points in the league. I think it was 71.5 points per game. So they're not really giving up a whole lot. So really no scoring targets there. The two opportunities that I saw in the DVP model were really guards rebounding against New York. That's been a good spot to target this year. And then guards shooting threes against New York. So I do have a play on that one that I think is pretty nice. But let's before we dive into your play on this one, Tom, just one thing to keep an eye on. Vandersloot is listed as questionable for this game. So my guess is she won't play. But I have nothing really to go by. That's just a hunch.
Okay.
But she was just listed this morning as questionable. And then Sabali, who's Jonquel Jones' backup, continues to be out. So that could mean more minutes for Jonquel.
Yeah.
All right. What do you like here in this game?
So the first one was I like that center matchup with Jonquel for points, 13.5. It seemed just based on matchups, pretty good. Look, she's had pretty good success this season. I think a couple of those games with the unders were games where she played like 25 or less minutes. Games when she's played 25 or more. I think she's only missed this line in one. So yeah, I think given the matchup and the minutes, what do you say?
Yeah, I like it. I do. The one part of her game that I think is a little scary, she's been heavily dependent on the three. Right. So the games where she's clearing, she's definitely getting some threes, although that's not true for all the games. I would also note two of the games where she went under was against Chicago, right? And I just mentioned the previous matchup, Chicago versus Washington. Centers versus Chicago is not a good matchup, right? That's why we would potentially fade Dolson in that game. So I do think Chicago has been a tough matchup. She's gotten in foul trouble in both of those games, which is why she kind of get out of her rhythm. Minnesota, I don't really understand that as much, but it's maybe just 2 games in a row. But I do like the trend, the 3-game trend leading up to that Chicago game: 20 points, 16 points, 18 points. Good matchup. I don't know who's going to guard her in this one. They got Tina Charles. They got Parker. I'm not really sure who's going to guard Jonquel. So I think Jonquel's in a good spot for 13.5 points. I love that play.
Nice. I had one other. I'm just noticing a nice trend. You mentioned guards in a nice matchup against the Dream. If you go to Sabrina and just go down to her, look at like her field goal percentage and her 3-point percentage. Like she seems like she's, after a kind of slow start to the season, you just see a nice upward trend in her field goal percentage and her 3-point percentage. So I think she's, getting into form as they are now. 10 games into the season now? What is that? A quarter of the way? How many games do they play in total?
This is their 11th game.
Yeah, so like
it's the Liberty's 11th game. It's the Dream's 8th game, which is kind of crazy. Right?
Interesting. So yeah, I see a nice trend. You see the 3-point attempts pretty consistent. Field goal attempts, and then I just like I like the consistency of the attempts, and I like the kind of upward slope on the two on the percentages. So I just feel like Sabrina in a good matchup is a nice spot for her.
Yeah, I mean, I love that she's took 19 shots in this game, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Let's see what her pattern is without Vandersloot. So I guess they only played that one game without Vandersloot, but she did go off in that game. She had 24 points, 1 rebound, only 3 assists. So she definitely focused on scoring. I think she's in a great spot. I'm thinking to play both Sabrina for 17.5 and Jonquel for 13.5. I think because I think one of them is for sure going to hit it, and I think they could both do it in this game. So, I had both of those. I had item number 3 on my list.
Oh, you had Sabrina too?
Yeah, I said Jonquel or Sabrina. I was debating between the two of them for points. And I think it's gonna be both of them. So I like that in this game.
Are we throwing Stewie in there too?
Stewie, I mean, has been was awesome last game. Brianna Stewart put up 33 points after kind of having a disappointing 6-game stretch. This is not the best matchup for forward scoring. But
Rebounds, right?
It is a good matchup for rebounds. So
Yeah.
we put this play out in the Discord earlier today. 9.5 rebounds. What I really like too is the value on DraftKings. It is minus 140, which is juicy. But if you go over to FanDuel and you play her for 10 rebounds, it's minus 200. So that's
Wow.
a huge
Yeah.
discrepancy in value. So I locked that one in at 9.5. I think she's good. If you look at the teams that she's dominated against, bottom 5 teams in the league in terms of rebounds to forwards, Chicago's 1, Washington's 1, Minnesota's 1, Chicago again is 1, Seattle's 1, right? Teams that are better at rebounding against forwards, Indiana is a little bit better. Phoenix is very hard to rebound against for forwards for some reason, and then Indiana again. So you got to be careful because the DVP is heavily influenced by Brianna Stewart, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, the pattern is kind of following her a little bit.
But,
but Atlanta's not good against forwards for rebounding. So I think it's a great spot for her to get 10 rebounds.
Nice. I love that.
Jonquel to score and Brianna to rebound.
All right. And if you want to sprinkle
right,
Sabrina in there.
Yeah, and Sabrina as well. Just one play on the Dream side. I mentioned New York's 2 weaknesses are guards rebounding and guards shooting threes. So Alicia Gray, I think, was the player that I was targeting in this game, and I wanted to get your thoughts as to which of these plays you like better. So we can play her for 3.5 rebounds at minus 102.
Okay.
Which she's done in 3 of 7 games this season, but 2 games in a row.
Not super exciting there.
Not super exciting, but again, a good matchup to target for guards rebounding. Or we can target her threes, and that's a little bit more exciting.
Yeah.
So you're going to pay the juice, right? This is up to minus 160 on FanDuel. ESPN Bet minus 165. But as a leg of a parlay for 2 threes, she's done this in 4 out of 6 games this season. Had 1 against Connecticut, which is a tough matchup. Good spot to target. I think she's going to probably.
It's interesting though. Like looking at this season, like the threes look better. The rebounds not as much. If you look at the historical against the Liberty, it flip flops. Those are the threes, and the other ones from 2022. Wow. So take those out. Look at the rebounds. Even from last season. That's starting from last season. 5, 6, 4, and 8. So I don't know now.
And they were a pretty similar team.
Yeah, right? That's why I like that comp.
Both of these teams were pretty similar.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I was debating between those two. One of them is going to hit. They might both hit. Maybe you do the 2 threes and then you pair it with something else. Maybe even we grab something on the NBA side. Luka 2 threes or something like that.
Can you do four? What's the line? 3.5 rebounds.
3.5 rebounds.
Yeah. And I don't know. That just threw me off there. I was gonna go with the threes. I guess we should like lean more heavily in this season, but New York's pretty comparable to what the team they threw out last year. So,
and I like the minutes that she's playing. She's playing 38 minutes. Oh no, that was last season. Let's see what she's done this season. Yeah, she's playing 30 plus minutes most games. In competitive games, she'll play 35 minutes. So I think this one will be competitive. I do think the Liberty will win, but you never know. The Dream beat the Aces earlier this season, so when they decide to play, they can win. So so just to recap, we got Stewie rebounds, Jonquel and Sabrina points, and then we got Alicia Gray. Choose what you like, 2 threes or 4 rebounds, one of those 2.
All right. Very good. Like we were excited about this one. We're closing in on an hour right now. So
a lot to talk about. And Tim gave you a little sneak preview into NHL as well, which we'll hit up more of that on tomorrow's pod, right?
Yeah, we won't have NBA to talk about. No NBA until Sunday, I think. Lots of time off between games.
Oh yeah.
In the finals. So yeah, we'll hit a little WNBA and some Stanley Cup Finals tomorrow. But great pod. Lots to choose from here. So choose wisely and let's all make some money tonight.
Let's go.